Hi guys, just arrived here at Haythrop Park. The course is looking very nice, to be fair, despite the weather. So if you're in the area, come and check out Haythrop. Me and him just had a spot of lunch. Lovely place down the road called the Cotswold Guy. Awesome if you're in the area. Again, got to go there. Absolutely stunning. Apparently David Beckham's in there every couple of days. So yeah, I'm going to absolutely piss wet through it. So let's go in, see Liam, and have a look and see what he's up to. Liam, how we doing, mate? You all right?
All right, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. It's been a long time, nearly a year since we met, I think.
Yeah, it's been too long, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I say met. We've been a few years since we met, but last seen each other, should I say. A lot of our guys obviously seen a lot of you over the last few years, but and you had a fantastic start to the playing year, actually here at Haythrop with a really tight finish, finished second in the clutch tier 1. Had a solid start, obviously. Not really seen much of you since, so kind of what's been happening, mate?
So yeah, mate. So obviously started off the season, I had full intentions to play. Unfortunately, started well here, and then literally the second event of the year I had to withdraw. Didn't feel very well. Continued to try and play for about another 6 events.
Yeah,
and was feeling horrendous. So ended up going into hospital, see if they could figure out what was going on with me. Found out I got a few issues with my health, so unfortunately had to take time away from playing. Obviously always hoped to come back at some point, but yeah, unfortunately had to transition into kind of moving away from the playing side, because with what was going on with myself, in and out of hospital regularly, and equally just not feeling good. I just wasn't able to perform the way that I wanted to. Still had some good results, weirdly enough, but just couldn't maintain that level of concentration, focus, and performance for long enough to be able to kind of do what I really wanted to do this year. So I just had to take the sensible decision and just kind of walk away.
Yeah, not an easy decision, I'm sure.
No, but definitely the right one, mate. Yeah, I would have been silly to have kept going.
Just fatigue on the course.
A lot of fatigue, mate. Yeah, a lot of pain and just struggling to sleep, and you can probably hear it in my voice even now. So I've got a problem in my voice box, and yeah, just because of that, because when I'm straining to speak, just a lot of fatigue, and yeah, so it just wasn't able to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so I mean that's a real shame. Like you say, obviously we all know you've got bags of talent and bags of potential and stuff like that. So to obviously be a cut short through injury and illness is not ideal. But
it's tough. But at the end of the day, like, you've got to do what's right for yourself. And unfortunately, I think because of the way I'd been feeling, I found it easier. I almost actually probably felt a bit more relieved when I did walk away, just purely because obviously you're playing week in, week out, and you're wondering what's going on. And at least now I have an actual answer and a potential solution. It actually feels quite of a positive thing in the end. And like I said, at some point, I'm sure you'll see me teeing it up again at some point, because I don't think I'll be able to stay away.
Can't keep the big man down for long. So obviously, you kind of said about transitioning into some other stuff. So obviously, what have you been up to since?
So a lot of people won't know this, but I've been coaching for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
On the side, so I've been coaching for about 12 years. Just obviously haven't really promoted it because it's been the thing behind. I didn't really want to be known as a golf coach. I wanted to obviously focus on my playing and be seen as that predominantly. But yeah, so I basically finished up, and then from that moment on just kind of started coaching a bit more regularly. And then that's obviously spiraled a little bit as well over the last 2 or 3 months, working with guys now who are playing on DP Tour, and probably got around 20 to 25 pros now.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
don't do things by halves.
No, exactly, mate. Just dive in. If you're going to do something, do it properly. Try and be the best you can be at it. And I don't think that'll, whatever I do in my life, I think that'll be kind of the personality trait that will definitely stick out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously I can vouch for him. He's helped me with my game no Wednesday over the last couple of years, understanding the golf swing. And a few of the guys that may follow Liam may already know, some of his methods. May seem a bit different, but maybe just chat through them a little bit, Liam. You're probably the best person to talk about your methods than me.
So I wouldn't say they're necessarily different. Maybe the way I go around doing it is. I think I'm just really movement based, and I think a lot of the stuff that I do myself, I'd obviously come from football, so I played professional football for 10 years, and I ended up transitioning into golf when I was 20. So I found generic golf coaching quite difficult to take on board. Never really went for that many lessons, because I found when I did, it was a bit much for me. I'm quite a reactive guy because of the football.
Yeah.
So when I first kind of got introduced to my coach, obviously this stuff resonated with me really, really well. It allowed me to kind of get out my own way, stop thinking so much, feel and be reactive, which I didn't think in a sport where you're stood still, I didn't think that would be a possible thing to do. And I really felt like when I first kind of got introduced to this information, I really felt like I'd been handed the old golden ticket. And I felt like I'd heard something that I hadn't heard before. I've spent thousands of pounds going to the best golf coaches in the world, and it definitely kind of was something that opened my mind up to this is different and you can do it a different way. And I think when you look at any golfer, we all have a particular amount of athleticism in us, and what I believe is the stuff that we do allows you to get the maximum that you're capable of out of yourself. Whereas I think a lot of golf coaching nowadays wants to take away and it wants to limit.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this stuff allows you to kind of maximize, and I think that's a better route for people to go, because they don't have to spend hours thinking, working out, kind of grinding in moves that when you then get on a golf course and you're moving at 100% and freely, you can't then repeat because it's a completely different environment to what you're practicing. And you seem to find that a lot with guys. They can hit positions, images on cameras, but the minute they get under pressure on a golf course, they struggle to repeat that. And I think that's down to kind of what they're training. So a lot of the methods that we do, like I said, they're probably a little bit different. A lot of people see people smashing towels and stuff like that. There are super technical reasons for that. The non-technical reasons are just smash bags keep breaking all the time and they're quite loud. But the technical reason for it is just that most golfers struggle to kind of be strong in their lead sides, so they struggle to decelerate effectively, which is what kind of stabilizes the club face. And having a larger collision allows you to do that more efficiently without having to think about it. So that's why we do a lot of work at home on the towels, and it also helps guys that don't have the time. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult to kind of find an hour 3 times a week to go down the range and spend 15 quid on balls, and it means you can pop out in the garden for 10-15 minutes, do some great work on your golf swing and get a lot more benefit from it too.
Right, let's, seeing as it's all movement based and reaction based, shall we show what we're talking about?
Let's get into a couple of drills.
So I think
this angle is something that is really important to talk about too, because when I'll always remember this. I posted it to Instagram once, if somebody wants a free review, and I must have had 80 people respond, and of 80 I think probably only 4 people sent me this angle. Like, I think we become so externally motivated by like swing planes, wrist conditions, all these kind of things, that I think we actually don't very often look at this angle, because this is what shows how your body moves. Down the line tends to show all of those external factors, and a lot of the time you can manipulate the external stuff, but then from face on you can't really cheat it. If you're moving poorly, this is going to show you. It's kind of what we're bought into. A lot of coaching, it's done within like indoor studios where they can only get one view and all this kind of stuff, whereas if you watch a lot of my Instagram stuff, like most of the image I post is face on. And the reason is because I know generally if somebody's doing the right things here, it'll generally look where it wants to look here too. So going into that a little bit more, the reason we do that is obviously this is where we can see the motion. So with a lot of the followers, one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you is always, when you're looking at your golf swing, look at action reaction. So if you're doing something pre-impact or in transition, that's generally going to be a byproduct of something that's happening earlier on. Most compensations come from people trying to create space. So that's number one. And number two would be, when you're trying to find a fix, always try and find it in motion. You can change the look of something externally quite easily, but you'll probably never get to the result you want because you're not doing it, you're not fixing it the right way. And you can change positions, that's never going to kind of fix and make things move better. So generally get to the motion, you fix everything else. So that being said, we're going to teach you guys just a real basic step drill. So a lot of the time in CGM we actually talk about a basic step drill being both directions. At the moment, if I'm honest, if people are starting on ground level, I'd almost prefer them just to do just a step up. The reason for that is that out of every 100 videos that I must receive, I would say that 95 minimum would be people scared to move laterally. And I think that's part of the golf world's fault. All you ever hear nowadays is rotation, turn, but there's 3 forms of motion that we're always trying to manage in the golf swing. They're rotation, lateral, and vertical. And what a lot of coaching has done, unfortunately, is it's taken out the last two. And I would say probably lateral is probably the most important, but it's where you're moving laterally. So we're not necessarily moving, because we're doing a step, that doesn't mean that we're moving laterally with our lower body. What it actually does by stepping off is it actually gets my sternum to create space. And that's why these drills become really important, and why, if you go through TGN's comments at the minute, it's like people doing them for the first time and they're just mind blown as to how much better they strike it and how much longer they're hitting it. And the reason is because they've got time and space. So we'll get into the first drill, and all it is literally going to be, guys, again, we're using the towel so that we can get that resistance of the club. The towel's going to do all the deceleration for the club head that you need to stabilize it. You don't have to think about it, it'll just do it for you. Make sure your towel, don't get it too heavy but equally not too light. You want something that resists it enough to decelerate the club, but you don't want something that completely decelerates it altogether and you end up driving the club head too much. So make sure you get the right weight towel when you do it. Okay, so then all we're going to do, we're going to get into our normal setup, and then all we're going to do to start this motion, and if you struggle with this, you can also do something that I'll show you in a moment too. But basically, to start the motion, we're just going to take a step to your trail side. And as you do that, then I want you to feel like you're kind of using your left upper arm, so your scapula, your pec. And then what I want you to do is feel like as you step then, is that you're pushing away with that motion. So you're kind of going to, as you're stepping, you're really going to feel like you're pushing the lead side away. So I'm going to go step off, back, and I'm just going to hit it from just there and get covered in water. We always pick the best days to do demo videos, don't we, Rob? Either freezing cold or hammering down with rain.
If you ever get asked to do an eagle shoot of any kind, just don't do it because it rains.
Yeah, it's always freezing cold, windy or rainy. So if you struggle to create any leverage with that from the left arm that I was talking about, a real simple thing you can do straight off the bat to help you get a bit more torque in the club head is just literally start with the club more out in front of you here. What that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to get that kind of like Hogan-y kind of grip first look, and that's going to allow you to create some form of torque or momentum in the club head. So you're going to come in, I'll do the first version again and then I'll show you the new one. So you can step off back and then hit the towel. And again, if you're struggling with that leverage point, if you're struggling to move the club back from that position, you can start with it out here, still starting with a step and then back. And then again, what you can hear on all those strikes, you can hear there's some club head speed in there. And I think the reason you're able to then hit it harder is because this little step off, what it does is it allows your sternum to move off a little bit more. And then what that's doing for you then is that's creating the time and space that you need to be able to move back in to create that energy that you need to be able to create space to be able to release those arms as hard as you want. A lot of golfers live in fear of releasing the club. The reason is because they're generally too on top of it, out the way of it, and then they're going to hit it left if they release their arms. Whereas when you get your centers in these correct positions, so the important part of this step is actually my center points. It's not actually what I'm doing in the ground. And from there, then you can move in and you can really rip through that towel. So that would be a great introduction for you for making sure that you're finding the right space and you're getting the correct lateral shifts. And what you'll notice on all of these drills, I still look really rotational. For me personally, I'm not the most flexible guy. So when I actually try and turn, I look less flexible or less rotational than I do when I do these drills. And the reason is because I have more leverage in the club head. The club head actually, once I get to about here, so I go through my lateral phase, the speed in this club head is actually what pulls me into rotation. I then move laterally, I then start to move vertically, and then again the speed of this release in the club head is what pulls me into rotation. I don't ever really try and create it, because when I try and create it, I basically end up too left-sided, and then I end up too open to target too early, can't release the club efficiently, have to hold on to it, and generally get a miss to the left. So that would be your first drill, guys.
I'll tell you what, there's so many nuggets in there.
There's a few in there.
There's so many
I'm sure
nuggets.
it's probably going to come out in more than one.
Yeah, I think there's going to be plenty of little snippets of that. But yeah, I mean that was like 7 minutes of absolute pure gold.
Yeah.
So something, and that's stage 1.1.
That's literally ground. Yes. That's like real general basic understanding. within that, there's a million things you can talk about. And there's a million variations. Well, not a million, probably exaggerating there, but there's variations and progressions of every single piece of what I've just explained. And that's kind of when you talk about the library of drills. It's like if you find something that you're struggling with, you can go into there and go, okay, well, actually, this one's directly related to this drill, this drill, this drill, and that's how you start building yourself up a nice little practice portfolio.
Fantastic. Go on. We've got more. Go on.
Let's do one more drill.
Let's one more drill. Let's go.
Let's add a bit more. So the second drill would be, I would recommend you doing something lead arm orientated. The reason being, a lot of the stability comes from that lead arm. And like I mentioned earlier, you listen to people that kind of say they want to play a fade or they want it for safety. The reason is because that's how they tend to be able to find it easiest to get the club to the ground. And it's that deceleration of the club heading the ground is what feels safe. So I want people to be able to do that, but in a more free released kind of pattern or version. So what I'd really recommend initially is kind of getting yourself a wedge, a sand wedge maybe, and looking just to hit some 30 to 50 yard pitch shots. Because you're going to be new to it, don't go any further than that, because you're going to start, if you're doing it wrong, you're going to start isolating your rotating club, and there'll be too much pressure on it with that weight of the club and the speed. So I would recommend just a 30 yard pitch shot, 56 degree wedge. And what I want you to really focus on is just that you're finding that ground safely every time. Because what you'll find is, if you're somebody that tends to be a little bit on top of it and a bit spun out too early, the shots that you're going to hit are going to be shanks, tops and thins, and it's not going to feel very nice at all. The feeling you're going to get is that your body's opening up too early, your arms are working away. So you'll see this a lot of time in players when they drop clubs, trail arm comes off the club, and they've got no kind of sync between their arm swing and their body swing. So what I'd recommend is coming in just with a little sand wedge. And what I really want you to focus on is the geometry within the motion that you're doing. Because if you're somebody that's trying to find space, what you'll tend to see is that people tend to drive ahead and under. What I mean by under is, if I had a line across my pelvis and across my shoulders, they'd be pointing to the sky. And I'm sure you can imagine, if I get that geometry, the club's going to want to follow those angles and want to work up, which is then why you're going to find shanks, tops and thins. Okay, so what I want to see is that once I've made this nice move with my left pec, so I'm feeling this nice little push off, is then that my shoulders and my pelvis are both working down back towards the ground. That means that whether I feel unwell, tired, hungover, I'm going to be able to turn up and find the ground the same way every time. I might just lose a little bit of distance if I'm feeling a little lethargic. So what I want you to do is kind of move up this way, getting that same feel with the left side as you're getting when you're swinging the towel. Even if you can even start with it a little bit out here when you're practicing swinging. And then what you can do is then I want you to feel that you're almost in that transition, is that you're angling down as you move back in to the ground. And you'll notice every single time here I'm making contact with the ground. If I spin out, you'll notice that I can't make contact with the ground because the club wants to rise and work away from me. So this is also why I said 30 yards as well, because ideally I want you to hit it through leaning your body in the right angle, not hit it through throwing your arms or spinning at it. So I'm trying to take away your other leverage points. So you're going to make a good move off and down and in like this. So you're just going to hit some balls, just 30 yards with a sand wedge, with that exact feeling. And I can guarantee you, if you can clip the ball nicely, straight, with a good strike, that's going to have given you so many good technical points through trying to improve a skill. And that's just such a great way for you to warm up every time. So whether it's my tour players, I've got videos of like the guys that I work with on DP World Tour doing this in their warm-up. 10 balls to start off, left arm only, sand wedge, 30 yards. Great way to just make sure that you're syncing your body to your arm swing. Great place to start. When you're at home, get yourself started with that little step-off drill, and I guarantee you those two things, whatever you're working on in your swing, fade, draw, whatever, it's going to do nothing but add value. So hopefully they can kind of get you started in the right place.
So we talked about TGN and the library and stuff like that a little bit in this video. Obviously, if people were interested in that, where can they find that and how do they get involved?
Just simple, mate. tourgolfnetwork.com. Get yourself on there. I think we're at just under 375 members around the world now. Community's doing great in Facebook, regular posts every day. Everybody's kind of working on these things and getting involved, and it's just been, we've had a real kind of boost of energy in there over the last kind of 6 months again. We do golf days, coaching. We've got obviously the other coaches in there too. We've got one of the best putting coaches in the world. We've got a tour van guy who talks us through clubs. We've got one of the best fitness coaches in the country. So we've got a great team in there. And the idea that I wanted to do with TGM was kind of give back a little bit. And what we've tried to do is provide amateur golfers who want the best information their own tour team for $12.99 a month.
So yeah, it sounds expensive when you're explaining it. $12.99 a month, absolute steal. And I'm obviously in there, guys. I do pay my $12.99 a month. And I can vouch for the community has been brilliant the last few weeks. People really helping one another, understanding the drills. People that's been there for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and then other new guys coming in. It's been great. So worth absolutely every penny. Liam's undersold it there a little bit, but yeah, if you want some more, head to tourgolfnetwork.com and yeah, sign up and you won't be disappointed. Right, Liam, shall I have a look at my swing?
This is the hard bit.
Hi guys, I'm actually going to cut this vlog off here just because the original plan was to have this 2 days where I'm down in Oxford and down in Mannings Heath as kind of one continuous vlog, but there was that much good information and that much good content that we've got from the few days that the vlog would just be too long. So going to cut this one off here with Liam. That was an absolutely fantastic insight into his golf coaching, his kind of methods and how he likes to see the golf swing. Hopefully you take a lot from that as well. I mean, just me recording it and watching it, I just took so much information from there. So probably something you want to watch a couple of times and really like delve into what he's saying and digest it. Try out some of the drills, as we say, tourgolfnetwork.com. There's a whole library of other drills on there, which are extensions of those very basic ones that Liam put on for us there. And yeah, loads more to come. We did film my golf lesson, but some of the footage wasn't too great, so I may see if some of it's useful, or we'll go down and film some more stuff with Liam in the next few weeks, which we're planning on doing anyway. But we might then look at an actual golf lesson once we've got maybe less rain and a few more camera angles that we can do, because we're not stood there in the rain. So yeah, big thanks to Liam, big thanks to Haythrop, and look out for some more vlogs coming in the future. We just launched our off-season 2.0 today. It's Friday of that week now, and yeah, things are pretty busy, so all very good, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Oh, and I should do that thing really, shouldn't I, where I say make sure you like, subscribe, comment and all that good stuff, so we can obviously grow our channel and stuff. So do us a favour.